Against the Ropes podcast.
Contra las cuerdas.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast. Gio Garcia here with Christian Mosqueda, back for another live show. Christian had a little bit of some technical difficulties, but hey, we made it. We're here. We're back in the building. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back, guys. Yeah, man. I took a 7-8 punch combo, guys. I took my standing 8, but we're back. We're here. It's gonna be a little somber episode, Gio. One of the greats, one of the very best retires, man. Give me your immediate thoughts on that news, Gio.
Yeah, so Lomachenko is the man that you speak of. Vasily Lomachenko, the Ukrainian champions, one of the greatest. We'll get into Keyshawn in a little bit, man. Let's not interrupt Lomachenko's soliloquy here. We'll get into Keyshawn. There it goes. We're on the right screen now. Lomachenko, 3-division champion. He didn't have many fights as a pro. 21 professional bouts. One of the greatest amateurs of all time. 396-1 as an amateur. He came into the game facing tough opposition. His third fight, I believe, was when he won a world title. And yeah, he's a legend in the game, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of this era. Vasily Lomachenko, 37 years old, made a video. I can play it for you guys. He had a version in English announcing his retirement. As I said, one of the greats of this era. I've talked about it so many times on this podcast. You know, there's a few fighters who choose to fight in the division that they actually belong in. Lomachenko was one of them, and he even went above and beyond fighting in divisions that he probably shouldn't have fought in. You know, these 135-pounders, some guys 5'11", 6 feet tall, 20, 30 pounds heavier than him, you know, when it comes to walk around weight. But he took on the challenge. 135 was where he found the biggest fights, had the short end of the stick in a couple of those fights, but the legend Lomachenko, man, we remember, Chris, watching him way back then in his second fight against Siri Salido. You know, that was a fight that he probably should have won too, but you can see the skill, you can see the talent, and then, you know, the birth of Lomachenko, you know, making the likes of Jonathan Walters quit, the likes of Guillermo Rigondeaux quit, you know, and many, many more. And toward the end of his career, as I said, fighting in Probably divisions that were probably a little too heavy for him, but to me, he still should have got some of those victories. I think the one that stands out the most is the one against Devin Haney. But he retires a legend, he retires a champion. And, I think aside from the talent, aside from the great amateur record, aside from the championships and multiple weight classes and all that, his um, willingness to kind of step aside when his country was going through that war and still is going through that war. I'm sure that played a factor in this too. But respect to Vasily Lomachenko. Glad we got to watch him live. We got to watch him at the Staples Center against Krola. So man, legend of the game, legend of his era for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely, Gio. Lomachenko, for all his skill and all his technique, and all of that, that's one thing, Gio. The other thing that made him such a beloved fighter, was just everything that encompassed outside the ring, Gio. There's a few fighters that become people's champions. We think of the Muhammad Ali's, we think of the Triple G's, we think of the Manny Pacquiao. Lomachenko was really that guy that nobody could hate on. He was well respected, well loved, well admired by not just the boxing fans, but the peers. Again, there's only a few fighters, Gio, that can have both the talent, the skill, and the personality and the persona. So yeah, for me, when I heard this news, I not gonna lie to you, I got a little teared up. I almost didn't want to believe it. Every time a fighter announces a retirement, I take it with a grain of salt. I always think it's just that moment. Months from now, they're gonna reconsider and they're gonna step back in the ring. The purses are too big, the names are too big. But I feel like this one might be for real, Gio. At 37, with everything that he's accomplished, I don't see him, seeking any more fights, or maybe he's just, like he's done it all. Again, I'm a little sad because I did want to see him get in the ring with our boy Raymond Murataya. I'm pretty sure you already saw the post that Papa Murataya put out, showing a lot of respect for Vasily. But you said it, Gio. He fought everybody, fought all comers. Every time he got in that ring, it was going to be action, fight. There was He brought a sense of excitement, Gio. Sometimes when boxing needed it, he came in and he put on a show. He showed skill. He showed personality. Again, that's what people love him and revere him so much. Again, I remember the fight with Luke Campbell. Even the British fans were showing him respect. They knew that Luke Campbell was in there for a fight of his life, and they applauded both guys at the end. They applauded Luke Campbell for putting up a fight against the pound for pound king at that moment. But yeah, man, Vasily Lomachenko is gonna go down as one of the very greats, like you mentioned. Huge amateur pedigree. I think he's only got like one or two losses, if I'm not mistaken. But everything that he did in that professional ranks, I think second fight for a title, and then just going through that Lomachenko tear, something that we hadn't seen ever. There was a moment where we're like, can anybody, muster up at least a competitive challenge? Can somebody at least not quit? It was that dominant for Vasily. And again, like you said, when he got up to that 135, that's when he started to to get outsized by some of these other younger, bigger, more athletic guys. But it was always competitive. Many of those fights, I know that you saw him winning. So again, it just shows what kind of animal that small legendary champion was in Vasily Lomachenko, Gio.
Yeah, and Big Bro references the CD Salido fight. Look at that resume right there. His second pro fight, he fought against CD Salido. That was in 2014.
Yeah.
In San Antonio, Texas. Lost by split. Should have probably won that one. Salido showed all the colmillo in the world. Low blows, rabbit punches. Hey, referee allowed it. So, he got away with a lot and ultimately walked away with a split. Could have easily gone Loma's way. In his third fight, when he won the belt, he won by majority against Gary Russell Jr. Chris, how do you beat Gary Russell Jr. in your third pro fight? That's legendary in itself. I know a lot of, especially younger fans, I'm sure. I've seen a lot of comments online saying Lomachenko's overrated. I mean, show me any boxer ever in the world who would have done that, defeated Russell. Gary Russell Jr. in his prime. He was one of the more avoided fighters. probably the quickest hands in boxing, and Loma just outboxed him. I know it shows a split. A majority, but Loma clear win in his third pro fight after losing to Siri Salido. That's legendary in itself. And then you see some of the other names. Rocky Martinez in his 7th fight. Jonathan Walters in his 8th fight. We were there as well. For that, actually, were we? No, which one was the one? No, I'm mistaken, but that was in Vegas. Walters in his 8th fight. Regan Dow in his 11th fight. What else do we have here? Jorge Linares right after that. Stop Linares. Defeated Pedraza. Luke Campbell. Teofimo Lopez, which I still think he deserved more in that one. The way he finished that fight, the second half of it. Dominant. Nakatani, Comey, Ortiz. The loss of Devin Haney. On paper, most people saw him winning. And then, of course, the commanding win against Kambosos in Australia. Legendary career for, as I said, the 3-division champion Vasily Lomachenko.
Yeah, no, Gio, when you go down that list, Gio, you see all those names. I feel like the only other person that rivals that actively is the Canelo Alvarez. When you think of those resumes, Gio, there's only, like I said, there's only a few people that have those kinds of resumes. It's the Manny Pacquiao's. It's the Oscar de la Hoyas. It's a few select fighters that willingly fight the best, willingly fight, the name fighters. They fight the guys that are up and coming that are gonna be named fighters one day. That's what Vasily's resume shows. He fought everybody that was in and around the best in his divisions, going up divisions, like we mentioned, going up divisions against bigger, younger guys. Those names, if you see that resume, not a whole lot of active fighters and even retired fighters can compare to that. Again, that Gary Russell Jr. fight, that was one of those fights where people that really followed Gary Russell, they knew that kid had speed, that he had skill, and it was supposed to be a style clash of technicians. And what Lomachenko did in that fight just shows that he's that A+ fighter. I think at that point Gary Russell was probably like a A- fighter, but that one just showed like the levels upon levels that exist in the boxing industry. And again, Lomachenko doing that the way he did it so definitively was amazing to behold. Again, when he went on that tear, I know there was that moment where they were, pinning the two former uh, 2 gold medalists in Rigondeaux. And I remember I went against the grain, and I was like, I want to be the shock factor and vote for Rigondeaux, even though Rigondeaux was smaller. But masterclass from Lomachenko did something to Rigondeaux, even though he was smaller. He did something to him that nobody had ever done. Everybody remember Rigondeaux from what he did to Nonito Donaire. So the fact that Lomachenko did that, Gio, just was another wow moment, and that's what Vasily's career was consistently based off just all these wow moments. And when you didn't think there was another wow moment, he would deliver. So again, it's an honor that we got to see him in his prime, and we got to see everything that he did. In a sense, he's like our version of an Oscar de la Hoya. We saw the entire prime of Vasily Lomachenko.
Yeah, and we had a comment here. Let's read it. Boxing expert says Duck Tank. I think he made a mistake. I think he meant to say that Tank ducked him. That's how great Lomachenko was. Floyd Mayweather did not allow Tank to fight against Lomachenko his whole career. That's how good Loma was. So yeah, Tank wanted no parts of that. But if you talk about someone, as you said, who fought everyone, that's Lomachenko. And if you look at some of those fights that he lost, couple rounds in his favor, and his legendary career would have been that much better. But yeah, that's Vasily Lomachenko. A little surprised that he did retire, but you mentioned our boy Raymond Murataya, who now has been elevated to a full IBF champion because of the retirement of Lomachenko. Raymond Murataya, who's 23-0, 17 KOs, 28 years old, out of Fontana, California. He defeated Abdulaev in that eliminator. He was supposed to get the Loma fight. With Loma retiring, he gets the belt. You know how I feel about those championships. I feel like they should fight for it. But I'm happy for our good friend of the show, Murataya, nonetheless. And hopefully this comes with bigger fights, bigger purses. Most guys were not saying his name, and now they have to if they want to be a titleist at 135. You got Shakur out there. Uh, Keyshawn, we'll get into Keyshawn, Chris, but he's no longer at 135. But yeah, congrats to Murataya. We know we're biased, but I still wish that he could have got that opportunity to fight Lomachenko. I still wish that he could have won it in the ring. I'm not a fan of the email championships, but I think this is huge for his career because most guys were not calling his name, and now he's in the mix.
Yeah, and you kind of answered my question, Gio. I was gonna say, how do you feel about Lomachenko retiring before giving that shot to Raymond Morataya again? I think we talked about it in previous podcasts. It was 50-50, 47-52. Could have gone either way. Obviously, we have a little bit of a bias, but we also have that bias in that we respect the heck out of Vasily Lomachenko. Tell me, first of all, your thoughts on that fight not happening. And if it were to happen, how would you have seen that fight play out?
Yeah, so I can just echo the sentiments of Raymond Murataya's dad and trainer. He said Lomachenko's a legend. He would have loved to share the ring with him. They were looking forward to that fight. With that title eliminator fight, they earned their spot and they were looking forward to it. They welcomed the challenge. So, they were looking forward to it. It would have been a great name on their resume, win or lose. It would have been a great fight. It would have been some Dragon Ball Z, Chris, Goku, Vegeta type fight. Both men are quick reflexes, smart. They use crazy, interesting angles. They both have good defense. It would have been a good fight, and I think Raymond could have used his size to his advantage in that one. He's a big guy. He's about 5'9". He probably walks around maybe 155, I would guess. If you look at him, he's always in shape. So he stays right around, probably the 140s. But if you meet him in person, he's a big guy, you know. So it would have been interesting. I still think you would have to favor the champion and the legend of Lomachenko. But I think that would have been a great fight. And we would have really got to see how good Raymond Murataya is. Unfortunately, we don't get to fight, but hopefully he gets a big fight, big process. He should get the winner of Shakur and Camaron. But yeah, I think it would have been a fight that where you would have to still favor Lomachenko, but the fight would have probably been 50-50 for me.
Yeah, for me, just from a friend perspective and also a fan perspective, I'm a little disappointed. You're not gonna lie. I would have also loved to have seen that fight, win, lose, or draw. I feel like the exchange of knowledge and the exchange of experience from a legend like Vasily Lomachenko to a young, up and coming talent like Raymond would have been invaluable. So that's one of those that we'll look back and we're like, man, we wish that would have happened. I think it could, you know, this is one of those fights that couldn't happen to two better people. Obviously, we know how much Vasily respected the world over, and obviously we know Raymond Murataya, just a friend of the show and such a likable, nice kid, all business, no trash talking. One of those fights that I wish that could have happened just because of who they are. So that's something that we're not going to get. Unfortunate. If Vasil does, prove me wrong and decides to come back for one more fight, I would love for him to get in there with Raymond and have that stylistic fight. But yeah, at the end of the day, respect to Vasily. Nothing left to prove. He's done it all. He's done it. He's probably done 5 times more than the next guy outside of Canelo. So again, respect to him. He's done it all. He deserves his flowers, his respect, and to ride off in the sunset, Gio.
Yeah, last thing for me, I have always said this: Lomachenko could have been the best small fighter ever in history if he would have stayed at 126, at 130. I think no one would have beat him. You know, he decided to take those bigger challenges. And to me, like you said, he did it all. He defeated the smaller guys, the guys his size, and even the guys bigger than him. As I said, the one against Devin Haney stands out to me. The younger guy in his prime, probably 30 pounds heavier than him on fight night. To me, he still defeated him. So Lomachenko, um, you know, to me, the thing, one of the things that most stands out is that he decided to step aside and stay in the Ukraine when the war was happening, even though he had that undisputed match against Kambosos lined up. You know, he put his country ahead of all that. Um, could have easily been undisputed. That's probably the only thing he didn't do. You know, but and you saw it after the fact. You know, he stopped Kambosos. It wasn't even a tough fight for him. But you know, the legend Lomachenko. Let me go ahead and play before I go into the comments. Let me go ahead and play Lomachenko's video here.
Наступает момент, когда он вешает перчатки на гвоздь. В нашей истории этот день настал.
Can I play the English one? Let me see.
I want to thank our Lord Jesus Christ for everything He has done for me, for guiding a prideful young man down a path that ultimately showed me that fame, legacy, and recognition are not the true purpose of life. I am grateful for every victory and every defeat, both in the ring and in a life. I'm thankful that as my career comes to an end, I've gained clarity about the direction a person must take in order to achieve true victory, not just in the ring, but in overcoming the old self. Only then can one receive their true reward. I thank God for my wonderful, honest, and kind parents, for their care, their love, and their warmth I felt throughout my life. My father not only taught me art of boxing, but how to be a role model for my own children, the same way he has always been for me. I've made many mistakes in life and in the gym, but he was always by my side, correcting me then needed, praising me then earned it. I have many warm memories. I love you deeply. Dad, I bow low before you and dedicate the most hurtful words in the world to you. You are my number one. To my family, you have always stood by me. You shared in my victories with joy and felt the pain of my losses. But those moments only made us stronger. Andrei Borisovich, you are a truly unique person who taught me so much. Without you, the puzzle of my career wouldn't have come together. You are a world-class professional. Our journey hands up and downs, but we face it everything with dignity. Your personal qualities are something else entirely. You are a man who sacrifices his own time and energy for others. I'm grateful that our professional relationship became a true friendship. Thank you for everything. Dear Aegis, thank you for everything you've done for me and my family. You are a man who knows his craft, the best manager in the world, who became a friend and part of our family. Your professionalism goes hand in hand with your character, honesty, integrity, kindness, and the ability to find a solution in any situation. You were a manager who handled every challenge 100%. I wish you strength of spirit and the best of health, so that through you, new boxing stars can rise. I want to thank Top Rank and Mr. Bob Arum for amazing opportunity to showcase my abilities in boxing. I'm grateful to the United States of America for giving me the chance to realize my potential. And of course, I wouldn't be remiss not to thank you, my dear boxing fans around the world. You have always supported me with passion and lived through unforgettable fights alongside me for over a decade. I hope you continue to love and respect this sport, just a passionality, because the men who step in a ring risk their health for the sake of their families. Peace to all. May the Lord bless His people. First and foremost, I want to thank our Lord Jesus Christ for everything He has done for me.
All right, and there you have it, Lomachenko. The long video. I actually hadn't watched this whole thing, But as you see there, very humble Lomachenko, giving everyone props. Shout out to his dad, man. He did a great job with him. Unorthodox training methods. Had him doing ballet as a kid for a long time. Lomachenko has described in the past to try to get that footwork and rhythm down right. Also thanking his manager. That's what makes him great, man. All right. Someone says Lomachenko blink twice if you're being held hostage. Hey, you know, I want to know what teleprompter he's reading that off of. That we got to get one of those, Chris. I can just write down what I got to say in the whole podcast and read it off. That was great. But yeah, let's go to some comments, Chris. Let's see what the people are saying. Let's see. Will Lomachenko be in the Hall of Fame, Chris? Yes or no? 10 seconds. Why?
Down. Easy. He's just multiple world champion. With very no, that's an easy, bro. That's easy. Of course.
I agree. 1000%. Loma B. Haney says, Iceman, salute to you for telling the truth.
I think that one was a close match. I think when I saw it the first time around, I gave it to Devin Haney, but the most dominant round in that fight was clearly won by Lomachenko in that ninth round. But yeah, man, that's one of those fights that could go either way, and I'm not mad at the people that say that Loma won.
Iceman says Richard Torres took up dancing because of Loma. Man, hey, Loma probably has the best footwork I've ever seen, Chris. You got to put like Pernell Whitaker up there, in my opinion, too. But Loma's smooth with it. Smooth. Loma first ballot Hall of Fame, says Big Bro Chris. Who else can you think of with that great of that footwork? I think you got to put Manny Pacquiao up there too. The speed, the angles, and the just velocity that he worked around the ring with.
Yeah, no, I think Loma by far has the best footwork of anybody I've ever seen. Again, I remember when the background came out that he took ballet, and obviously he went through that tear where like all those angles were just bewildering all those fighters. They were quitting on their stools. They were quitting midway fight. They were quitting the first 2-3 rounds into that fight. Just again, I remember a lot of fighters were like probably thinking, man, if I don't take up dancing, I don't stand a chance against this guy. This guy did it since he was a kid. Like they separated him from boxing for what, 2-3 years. This guy's hungry to fight. So I remember thinking that I was like, any fighter that does not dance is cooked. So again, that just speaks to the level of footwork that Lomachenko has. That I don't see too many other guys are even close to it.
PYP Boxing sent us a shout out earlier. What did he say before I get into this comment? Hello from Texas. Great stuff, guys. He says, shout out to Texas. Probably led out there, man. Thanks for staying up and listening to us. He says he lost to Orlando Salido. Yeah, we touched on that a little bit. I think in his second pro fight, first world title fight, fighting a Mexican veteran it's tough, man. All the colmillo. He hit below the belt, hit behind the head. I just don't think Loma was really ready for that style. Even then, it was a split decision. Could have gone Loma's way, but let's not forget he beat Gary Russell Jr. right after that in his third pro fight to win his first belt as a pro in his third fight. He also says Bam Bam footwork is good. Bam Bam Rios? Nah, you joking, dog. Bam Bam Rios? Nah, I know you beat Bam Rodriguez. Yeah, Bam has some serious footwork too. Chris, heavyweight. Can't forget Muhammad Ali. Can't forget Usyk. Rare to say or talk about footwork, but you can't forget those two as well.
Yeah, no, of course, those guys have also elite level footwork. But yeah, I think on the pound for pound list, no one touches Loma. I'm gonna share a story, Gio. I'm gonna share a story that I don't think I've shared, or maybe I've only shared it with you. But I actually remember meeting Lomachenko before his professional debut. Gio, this must have been either 2015, 2016, way before we started the podcast. But he was out at a fight. I want to say Carson. He was wearing his sweats, green sweats. Looking back now, nobody really knew him. The only people that knew him were the reporters, the Eli Setbacks of the world. I remember Eli was like, that's Vasily Lomachenko. He's got one of the best amateur records. He's going to be big. So, props to Eli, for calling that even back then, before even Lomachenko made his debut. Nobody knew him. Again, he was just there watching the fights. Like a spectator. There was no cameras outside of Ellie. There was nobody that really knew him, but super humble guy, nice guy even back then. And man, it's crazy to see, fast forward 14, 15 years, everything that he did. Just incredible, man.
Oh, I hadn't heard that story. That's a great story. Man, you got to see the greatness before the people saw it on TV. Iceman says
Crazy.
he doesn't think he beat Theo, but he had it a draw. Just think about that. If he gets a draw against Theo and he gets the win on Haney on paper, you're looking at a great career. And even the CD one, like all his losses were super, super close. But let's see. Let's go to some other comments here. Jermall Charlo has the best footwork, says Gold member.
Man, gold member coming with the jab, man. I think he's up on everybody a few rounds right now.
Yeah, he's swinging right now. He's swinging. But
yeah,
is that it on Loma, Chris? Can we move on to Keyshawn? That's the next topic.
Yeah, I think we gotta let Lomachenko rest again. Hell of a career, hell of a person. He will be missed again. Again, a little surprise announcement for me on my part. I'm saddened by it, but if anybody deserves to rest and to enjoy their years and to maybe take the fight elsewhere, we know that he's dealing with Ukraine and the war there with Russia. So maybe his sights are set elsewhere. Again, what a talent to the sport. Again, he came in, changed the sport, brought excitement to the sport, something we've never seen before, at least in our lifetime. So again, just lucky to have seen Vasily Lomachenko during his prime and during his career.
Top 3 wins, Chris, real quick before we move on. I would say number 1 for me, Gary Russell Jr. world title fight in his third pro fight. Defeated Russell, who was probably top 15, top 20 pound for pound at the time. Defeated him in his third fight. I would put the Rigondeaux one up there, even though people don't want to give him credit. He's about an inch taller than Rigo, maybe 15 pounds heavier walking around weight, maybe. When you look at him fighting these 135 pounders who were probably 30 pounds heavier than him on fight night, I personally don't believe he was that much bigger than Rigo, but I would put that one probably third. Gary Russell 1, and maybe Linares number 2. Maybe Linares or Walters. Those are tough.
Yeah, no, I agree with your selection, Gio. Again, I'll bring up some moments and why they were so impressive. Obviously, the Gary Russell Jr. that one stood out to me because of that speed and how Lomachenko's skill just capitalized on, even with all of Gary Russell's tools. The Walters, that one, bro, that one was one of those fights where you're like, is the technician, is he going to be able to withstand the onslaught of that power? And we've seen that in certain fights. We'll talk about Mason down the line, but that one was another one where I was like, I think of Walters, and I just remember how he knocked out Nonito. Yeah. And then to see Lomachenko do that, I was like, wow. And again, I think my favorite fight, Gio, has to be the Linares fight. It was two technicians. Linares has fought everywhere from, Japan to Mexico to the States. This guy was just well-rounded, and, that was a fight of technicians going at it, and crazy enough, he drops Lomachenko, and Lomachenko has to summon something, and comes back and does what he does to, and not as knocking him with a body shot. I think to me that's like the most beautiful fight. But again, you have that tear where he goes with that Lomachenko and does that. It's just amazing. But definitely, if I had to go back and see only one fight, I would have to go back, and it has to be the Linares fight for me, Gio.
Yeah, he got dropped in that one too, and then came back and stopped him with a straight to the body. Linares, who was also much bigger than him, I would say. But let's go ahead and move on. That's Loma. I agree. I think he stays retired too, Lomachenko. But let's go ahead and move on, Chris. We're about 35 minutes in. Lomachenko deserved it. He deserved our praises. He deserved the flowers. But let's go ahead and move on to Keyshawn Davis. A lot of people going in on him in the comment section. Keyshawn Davis, who missed weight by 4.3 pounds. I don't know if I've seen this in a title fight. 4.3 pounds. He was supposed to come in at 135. He weighed in at 139.3. Didn't even try, Chris. I think that's so disrespectful. He was supposed to fight in his hometown. How do you not try? You did not try. If you're a pound overweight, that probably tells us you tried all week. You tried all night to shed that weight off. Couldn't quite make it. Maybe you're just outgrowing that division. 4 pounds is insane. I think it's disrespectful. I'm going to call it a duck, Chris. He didn't want to fight De Los Santos that night. He knew he was not going to fight De Los Santos that night. His friends and family bought tickets. I guess he didn't care. He didn't even try to fight. He didn't even try to make weight. I'm going to call that a duck, Chris. You're 4 pounds over. You didn't want to fight. And he started a brawl backstage. Disrespectful to the sport, in my opinion. I'm done with Keyshawn. I think big money opportunities might slip away from him. Or on the flip side, it might help him. People might start hating him a little bit more and start paying to watch him lose. But, we talked about the fight beforehand, how it was supposed to be a tough fight. De Los Santos can crack. And Davis's chin was going to get tested. And like I said, I'm going to call it a duck. He didn't want to fight that night.
No, Gio, I completely agree. Again, Keyshawn has been one of those guys alongside Devin Haney that I feel like I've defended, and I've even said how good they are and how they're sleepers and how they deserve more respect. But sometimes they do things that I can't defend. Like, again, the proof is in the pudding, and what you put out, what actions you put out. The boxing fans, they're gonna call you out as it is. Again, before this fight, when I saw the clips of him calling out Mason and putting him on blast, an up and comer, you're an established name, and then you're calling out this guy. I'm like, oh, this guy's arrogant. He's confident. He's gonna make Mason's handlers like put him in a position to fight him, and then he's gonna. As much as talented as Abdullah is, I was like, maybe this is not the right time. But he was getting baited in, and for Mason to do what he did that night, and coupled with what Keyshawn messed up on, dude, that's divine justice. No offense to you. Again, it's crazy. Again, I was rooting for Keyshawn up until the moment where he did not make weight, and like you mentioned, Joe, it wasn't a pound, it wasn't 2 pounds, it was 4 pounds, 4+ pounds. Come on, man, that's disrespecting the sport. That's not being disciplined. That's not being professional. Again, when you talk the talk and you don't back it up and you do this, that it's everything you said prior just goes out the window. And again, I agree with Big Bro. He should get suspended. I applaud the Bobfather for completely scrapping that fight. Usually, when something like this happens, fees are paid in the tens of thousands, and the fight gets put forward because the show must go on. But this is one of those first times that I've noticed the main event gets completely scrapped. The Bobfather was not having it. Good on him. He's putting Keyshawn on timeout. The fans are coming. As you see the chat, they're coming out full circle. They're letting him have it. So again, it's unfortunate for Davis, especially when I was defending him and singing his praises. Right now, it's a bad look. His stock goes down, and I agree, Joe. It's a duck.
I'm glad you guys agree. I thought maybe that was going to be a hot take, but look, people even have more interesting theories than me here. All right. Let's go to the funny ones first. All right. There's some good ones. Gold member right now he's swinging, man. He got like 3 knockouts in one night already. All right. Let me see. Where's the one where he says, can you imagine Big Mac pushing Keyshawn to lose weight? What kind of advice could Big Mac even give him? He also, Iceman says he might be on that special sauce. He's been suspended before for weed. I don't care about that one really, but interesting take. He quacked under pressure, says Kyle. Let's see, what else we got here? Crash Out Keyshawn is his new nickname. No more businessman. Alma Marcela. Oh, man. I ain't even going to read that one. All right, where are we at? There's another one saying, let me see. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, Big Bro says, I heard King Push was going to walk him out. SMH, what a fumble. Man, ruined the show. We'll talk about Abdullah in a little bit, who stepped up. But let's stay on Keyshawn. Keyshawn let the whole hood down. Hood down on God and them. On God and them. Someone said DB3 should fight on the Alcatraz card, Chris. Man, people going in on Keyshawn, on God and them.
And I don't know who NM is, man. Flat out.
Yeah, no. For me, again, Keyshawn was going off on all the channels, Gio. Again, you know, for him to talk that much and to not back it up, again, it's just a bad look. It's just a bad look. Again, I sang his praises. I almost felt like he was a dark horse, you know, from the moment, you know, those clips came out with him and Teofimo. I was like, for him to call out a name fighter like Teofimo, there must be something there. There must be some X factor there, but X factor, no, Gio. Discipline is discipline, and you need that to be successful in the sport. And for him to go over 4 pounds, like you said it, either he didn't try or he knew this is just for cloud. And again, that's just a waste of money, a waste of promotion. If you're not gonna go through with the bout, you know, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of people's time. And like you said, people pay to go see these fights, these main events, and yeah, unfortunate, but the big winner, of course, is a Mason. And again, I was feeling a little sorry for him because I was like, "Dang, he just got called out by this guy." And on with the cameras rolling and everybody there watching, you're not gonna say you're not ready, or you're not gonna say no. I'm not with the smoke. So I'm kind of glad these turn events happen because Mason he made it his night, Joe.
Yeah, man, you said it. You said it right. Let me hit it one more time.
I don't know who NM is, man. Flat out. God no. And I don't know who NM is, man.
Flat out, man. But hey, Abdullah Mason stepped up to the plate. Main event, defeated Nakatila, who had faced several good opponents. Obviously, Murataya stands out. Burchelt stands out. I think at this point of his career, maybe more of a gatekeeper now, but Abdullah Mason, at his young age, 22, I believe, still had to pass the test, and he did it with flying colors. You know, he got the stoppage. He got elevated to the main event, and, you know, one step closer possibly to that belt that Keyshawn leaves behind. And I'm done talking about Keyshawn, Chris. Unless it's a joke, unless it's something funny, I don't want to mention his name anymore, man. It's disrespectful to boxing. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight, man. He didn't want it. He knew he was not going to make weight. He knew he wasn't going to fight, and he still pretended to be tough at the press conference, as you said, calling Abdullah Mason out, who I really like, man. He's a humble, quiet kid. He says, I'm going to let my hands do the talking. He almost kind of got taken by surprise. Didn't say a lot back, but I like his attitude. Humble guy outside the ring, and then once he steps in, he becomes a beast. So very skillful Abdullah Mason. He was our prospect of the year, I believe, a couple years ago. He's doing his thing. Very talented southpaw. He has power. He has speed. He has overcome some heavy hitters too. He got dropped a couple times few fights ago. Showed that he had the heart to the dog in him. So I'm excited for Abdullah Mason in his future. I think in a couple years, 2 to 3 years, he can become a pound for pound talent for sure.
You said it, Gio. Again, going through like a Tila is no easy. There's no easy feat, Gio. Again, this was one of those fights where you see the Vasily Lomachenko Walters kind of esque come out again. These punchers with one punch they can turn your lights out. You could be winning every single round, which is what Mason was doing, and if that one punch lands, how do you respond to that? Again, it just showed Mason's skill set. He definitely separated himself from Nakatila and never let him, get caught by a shot. Again, taking him out in 4 or 5 rounds. That's incredible. I've always said it.
Oh, the Chris Freeze over there. Oh, there you go. You're back. You're back.
Mason. Yeah, and again, Joe, I've always said that he just had his Vasily Lomachenko, Nicholas Walters moment where you have a technician, a skillful boxer going into the den with a puncher. You're always there's always that danger that one punch could land and it disrupts your momentum. It disrupts your that skill set that you've been putting out there. So for Mason to never get caught by a Nakatila shot, for him to take him out in 5 rounds, Gio, that's amazing. Again, it passed this one with flying colors. You know, you you can add his name to the names like Raymond Murataya who beaten Nakatila. So again, at 21 years of age, that's insane. His ascent is growing rapidly, and for him to take the moment, the main event, and to not let it become too big, even at such a young age, is impressive in its own, Gio.
Yeah. Any last comments on this? Abdullah steps up to the plate. He shines. Keyshawn crashes out, as Big Bro says.
Nah, for me, Joe, just Mason keeps doing what he needs to do. Doesn't have to be this overly brash, trash talker, and that's what we like in unboxing. Again, some entertainment is great. We love all forms of entertainment, but when the man is just humble, is entertaining inside the ring, keeps doing what he needs to do, knocks out guys. Again, the biggest inspiration and the biggest, man to look at right now is the Vasily Lomachenko retired, who's leaving a legacy for these young guys. And again, Lomachenko was never the biggest trash talker, hardly ever did any trash talking, but he was so exciting in that ring, Gio, that he leaves a great message for these youngsters. And again, Mason is a great kid, great skills, and again, he does it again. And honestly, I can't wait to see him again. He could be main eventing, Gio. I don't care about right now Keyshawn Davis. If Mason's the main event, I'm gonna watch.
Big Bro says these new Gen Z boxers are something else. They believe they are superstars, are entitled and delusional. Gold member says Keyshawn went from the businessman to out of business, man. He knew he wasn't going to fight Mason, says Big Bro. He found the Theo cringe weirdo route. Man, people going in on Keyshawn, man. Like I said, I think this hurts him, but this might help him, man. People might tune into his next fight just to watch him lose. I says I wanted to see that Los Santos disappointed. Yeah, we talked about it last week. This was going to be an intriguing fight. But to stay on Keyshawn, 19-0, 17 KOs, 21 years old out of Cleveland, Ohio, defeats Nakatila. 5th round, 5 rounds it took him. Nakatila, as I said, a little bit of a stepping stone now toward the end of his career. 35 years old, drops to 26-5. You see the loss there to Murataya, to Tito Mercado, who's fighting soon. Miguel Berchelt was his big win. He lost to Shakur Nakatila. So we'll see if we see him again on the big stage. But kudos to Abdullah Mason. I like him. But let's go ahead and move on, Chris. We'll discuss briefly Canelo Crawford. Seems like it's official now after so many rumors. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Terrence Crawford. Netflix, Chris. A lot of people are saying they're not looking forward to their screen loading for 2 hours. People aren't looking forward to that platform. But hey, September 13th, that's a Saturday. Netflix at no additional cost. So if you have Netflix, this won't be an additional charge for pay-per-view. Venue still to be decided, but it will be promoted by Dana White and Sella. which is a Saudi Arabian company, and it's supposed to be in Vegas. So that's good news, I suppose you can say. Right here, I think they explain what Stella is, a privately owned Saudi Arabian entertainment company. I saw all the fight posters being released, so it's official. They're just looking for a venue now.
Hey, honestly, Gio, again, of course, we've had our criticism of this fight. We've hinted at how competitive it's going to be. Again, there's weight classes for a reason. Obviously, that I have a bias with Terrence Crawford. I'm a big fan of Terrence Crawford, but even with that bias, I don't see it being competitive unless Crawford gets on that Keyshawn Davis and is able to put on weight somewhere near that 168 frame that Canelo has naturally. Canelo, as we know, probably walks around 185. Even though he's small, he's the stocky guy. So again, I mean, from here to then, Gio, I'm hoping Crawford puts on some weight. Hopefully, we see some videos, some pictures of that size, so we can at least get some form of excitement to some sort of competitiveness. I don't think it happens, but yeah, again, at least we know it's in Vegas. We've said it time and time again. Certain fights have been going to Saudi Arabia. Certain fights have been going to the East Coast in New York, and that's all cool and dandy. But we know that those fights need to be in Las Vegas, man. Again, it's for the fans. Fans are the ones that pay to see, some level of excitement and competitiveness, and it has to be Las Vegas. There's no other place unless it's in La Azteca, but Vegas is the spot. So at least we got that, Gio.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I got. We'll see what else they announce. I just wanted to touch on that because all the fight posters and all that stuff came out. Comment here by Gold Member, who's on fire. Looking forward to the clash of Snack versus Budero, he says. Tito Mercado pulled out due to a minor injury, says Gold Member. Oh, man. Tito Mercado, very exciting fighter. He was supposed to fight soon. We'll go over the boxing schedule in a little bit. I hope De Los Santos got paid and Keyshawn didn't. Big Bro says the Top Rank confirmed that supposedly they did pay him. That's what I heard too, that De Los Santos did get paid. But yeah, man, take all that away from Keyshawn, man. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve a dime.
Yeah, I feel like these kinds of things, Gio, like there should be like some rules in place where they're like, he's gotta now they should have him like checked every month up until fight night to make sure his weight is on check. If you miss something like this, if you mess up the fight card, if you mess up people's plans, there should be some accountability, Joe. And I feel like, he should be held accountable, get checked every month up until the fight. And if he near misses all of that, he should be fined, like a hefty fine that like really hurts him, really makes him, just really just get yourself together. But again, disappointing for Keyshawn Davis. I said in the past, no such thing as bad publicity, but this one's is a no good look. So he needs something big in his next 6 months for us to kind of forgive him a little bit. But right now he's in the shitter, bro. So yeah.
All right, and let's move on to Nakatani, man. Nakatani got another victory. Junto Nakatani got a stoppage, and this is what Inoue had to say. He said, "Welcome to the super bantamweight division. It would be exciting to see such a strong Japanese fighter." Now Inoue says, reacting to that fight, Junto Nakatani took care of business, did what he had to, lining himself up for a big fight. 31-0 now, 24 KOs. 27 years old Nakatani in his prime. He got it done in 6 rounds. I wanted to touch on that. And also Jayo Pataya got a stoppage as well. So good action this past weekend. And got to keep an eye out on that. Naoya Inoue, Nakatani. It looks like they're very, very interesting. Will be the biggest fight in Japanese boxing history. Let's see if MJ gets a fight after all, Chris. You better not fall asleep. You better sign that contract whenever they send it. ASAP.
Yeah, I think at this point people know that the Nakatani versus Inoue is a fight that's going to materialize, if not at the end of this year, for for early next year. And again, when you have that many forces that are willing to make this fight happen, like you said, it's going to be arguably the best Japanese fight of all time. You have two willing fighters. You have the same fan base. That fight's going to get made, obviously, out in Tokyo. Um, it's going to go down in the annals of history. I get style wise, these both of these guys have like the biggest stamina engines, great technicians. Uh, Obviously, Nakatani, the taller fighter, but in a way, the pound for pound great that can adjust to virtually any style. So again, MJ's got to not mess up his bag, like you said. Like if it comes, I'll talk to Joel Diaz. I need to go find out what's going on over there. But yeah, at this point, MJ needs to sign. Needs to get that bag, get that cool, you know, 500, 600K, whatever's coming his way, and make this fight happen. Again, most people know that Canelo is the cash cow. He's, that's the sweepstakes right there. But south of that 140, it's not anyway. So again, hopefully we see that fight materialize. But yeah, those two are both mouth-watering fights, like Atani and MJ for the monster now anyway.
Yeah, Big Bro mentions Opetaya, who called out Zurdo. And look, this is what I like. These top guys, these champions are, at least now they're saying each other's names. All right, so that's very promising. And with Big Turk, hopefully in the mix of all this, splash the cash, and hopefully we get these big fights. Not sure we missed anything. Let me check my notes real quick from last week, and I think that was that. Let's go. Go ahead.
Let me ask you, Gio. Let me ask you because Big Turk just put out a post, for this Canelo Crawford card. He put out a post saying that he wants the best names, the best fights, the best fighters to be on this card. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts of another mega fight card?
Surprising. Not sure it happens. You got to pay Canelo a lot of money. We know that typically his cards aren't stacked, but if he can do it, he will become more of a legend. Big Turk, Turkey Al Sheikh.
Nice. Let me just say, Gio, I went to Riot obviously last February, and I was supposed to be a stack
To where,
card
Chris?
to Riot, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I thought you
And
were starting. I thought you were starting riots. I think Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Chris.
Riyadh.
Man, about to watch what you say around here.
And again, Gio, I think I'm gonna change my tune, Gio. I think I would prefer, a spread out card, Gio. You guys can drop your opinions, and if you guys are cool with the super cards, you guys like that, then drop your comments. I think, Gio, I prefer more main events, more spread out, as opposed to getting one feast, which could be a dud. Which, in my opinion, even though the main event was great, I feel like a lot of those other fights kind of fell flat, and we've seen that subsequently in New York. Obviously all these names, and then they fall flat. I'd rather have. It's weird to say, Gio, maybe two good co-main events, main events, but spread out. That way, if one fails, I'm like, all right, I still got next week to look forward to. I got 2 weeks later to look forward to, a month from now to look forward to. So I think I want to spread the wealth, Gio. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Stay away from riots, Chris, says Iceman. Yeah, I don't mind it.
You don't mind the mega cards or the spread?
I don't mind them spreading out. Like last time, I didn't even make it on time to watch all the fights, so I had to watch like more than half on repeat. So I don't mind them spreading them out, especially if it's over there where the fight starts super early over here.
Yeah, no. Again, I missed the Friday night fights that were in New York. I had to rewatch them a little bit later, but everybody was telling me you didn't miss much. You didn't miss anything. So again, I don't know. Again, I'd rather have these fights spread, even though we were high on the super cards, and when they deliver, obviously they're going to be great. But I don't know, man. Again, having the whole buffet in one night and then having nothing for the rest of the month, I'd rather have it spread out.
All right. Let's briefly discuss the boxing schedule. Richardson Hitchens fighting Cambosos. If you guys care, I know there's been a lot of back and forth trash talk. That's this Saturday, June 14th, New York, the Zone. Nonito Donaire is scheduled to fight in Argentina, Chris. Wow.
What's up? Bonito.
Interesting.
Okay.
Brian Norman Jr. is supposed to fight June 19th in Tokyo. Interesting. What else we got? June is going to slow down a little bit. And Billy versus Suleski. Don't know how to feel about
Good one.
that one. June 27. And then the Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez, Chris. I put a poll up. Let's see if the question was, will you be watching? And let me see how the people voted for that one. I think it's this one right here. Will you be watching on June 28th? No, I'm good. 59% and 41% say yes. So we'll see. We'll see what noise they can make out there in Anaheim, California. Will you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be watching Gio again. I think it's one of those where I'm just gonna count on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. just to say that he's taking it seriously, but an undisciplined fighter is an undisciplined fighter, Gio. So again, I want to be wrong. I want obviously the son of the legend to to shock the world and to get one for boxing, but I don't know, man. I feel like surprisingly Jake is the more disciplined fighter. So again, I went to his last fight, that exhibition with Mike Tyson. I was obviously very disappointed, but and hopefully we get something different this time around.
All right, and let's go ahead and predict that Hitchens versus Cambosos fight, Chris. Might as well. I have the predictions up on the screen. I still need to update the last couple. We got the Caleb Plant one wrong. We got the Charlo one correct. But this is kind of like what we have right now. At the moment, Hitchens, Cambosos, Chris, who you got and how?
I'm gonna say obviously Hitchens. I feel like it's an easy one to pick the winner out this one. Just more technique, more skills, youth on his side. The question is, does it win by knockout or by decision? I know he's been barking a lot that he's getting this knockout. Do I believe him? I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say that Cambosos is gonna get another dose of that Vasily Lomachenko TKO. So uh, I'm gonna say Hitchinson by TKO Gio.
I'm going to go Hitchens decision. All right.
Okay.
Big Bro says Hitchens wins every round, Haney style. I think we had another Hitchen win, says PYP. Yeah, so we'll add that to this. Our predictions. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Man, Plant sucks, says Iceman. Yeah, he wasn't his night. Hey, but I noticed some friends of the show will be fighting this month. Let's see. Iana Verduzco, Right Hook Roxy, June 21 in Santa Ynez, California. Also, Wichita, Kansas on the Deontay Wilder card. Nico Hernandez, also previous guest of the show. Deontay Wilder making a comeback there, fighting in Kansas. Not sure that's even going to be televised, but we can talk about that as we get closer to it. And then July is really where things heat up. Netflix, New York, Taylor Serrano, number 3. Berlanga versus Shiraz, July 12th. New York, DAZN. What else do we have here? Manny Pacquiao against Mario Barrios is more official than ever. Usyk versus Dubois, July 19th. That's going to be a great day of boxing. Bam Rodriguez against Cafu, also same day. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to in July. Chris, anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here? I think that's all I have.
No, again, obviously the sentiment of today's episode was obviously giving those flowers to Vasily Lomachenko, an all-time great. Again, putting a cap on a great career, fighting everybody, fighting the best outside of his own division, fighting challenges. And again, that's one of those guys that you just have to admire. You have to be grateful that we were able to see him, and again, we have to wish him a great retirement, well deserved, well earned. Again, guys fight their entire lives, and sometimes they overstay their welcome, Gio, and they're not able to enjoy all that money that they initially got in the game for. Obviously, you also get in the game, for legacy, to change your family's lifestyle, but sometimes they overstay their welcome. Either because it's that fighter in them, or maybe because the fans clamor for more. So again, I got to take a step back and just let him enjoy his retirement. Again, well deserved. Enjoy your money, enjoy your time, and maybe many more fights outside of the square circle for him to still take on.
Yeah, and he looked like he was in peace, man. He was out there, some nice plants and trees behind him, just chilling, doing his thing. I'm sure at his big home. So he's got nothing to prove, man. All right. Big Bro says he's no longer invited to the cookouts and carne asada about plants, he says. Oh man.
Hey, it wasn't a good fight for Plant, man. Again, he's also fought some good names the last 3-4 years. So I think I'm gonna give him a pass. Again, he's fought some tough fights, been in some wars. He's brought entertainment, but I think he's taken a little too much damage the last 3-4 fights, Gio.
Out. God no. And I don't know who enemy is, man. Flat out.
All right, I think that's all we have for this week, man. Thank you guys for keeping the chat lit. Man, Gold member. Got a few TKOs tonight, man. Shout out to you. Bringing the heat. Shout out to all you guys. Iceman, Big Bro. Checking in. PYP Boxing. Let's go. We'll be back next week. We'll have a lot to talk about. We appreciate it, mates. Chris.
Yeah, here. Vámonos. Go member, man. He got a few knockdowns, man. He's behind that jab. He had that jab all night.
He's starting brawls and riots out here, Chris, with them haymakers. Let's go, mates. Peace.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco AtR. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas, un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Huge shout out to Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing. Shout out to Against the Ropes, man.